This is Jay with Tactimath. Mosquitoes are killing me. It's nice and hot today. But we're gonna do the intro video for this Keko tonneau cover for you. So what we cover in this video is the basics required to install this with the sports bar, because it's a little different when you go to install it and the sports bar is kind of in the way. I love this cover. It's been great. A couple of spots that we've added some silicone to on the corners that really weren't an issue until it was like a torrential downpour or I was hitting it with a pressure washer or something like that. Nothing that would detract me from getting it. I like it. It's a great cover. It works. So yeah, enjoy the video and thank you all so much for watching. If you can hit that like and subscribe, that would definitely help us out and grow this channel so that you can see us building this truck into something that's gonna have lots of fun. Thank y'all. Stay safe. So let's go over some of the hardware that comes with the Keko kit. You're going to have 6 of these locking clasps, and I'll show you how those go in. And then you're going to have a weather stripping piece that goes on the cab side. And then of course you have these 2 end caps that go on the tailgate side. Now I am going to be installing 2 extras because Keko was nice enough to send me a spare hardware kit since we were removing the tonneau cover and then placing the sports bar on and then having to, of course, reinstall it. That and the fact that I over-torqued one of these when I first installed it and broke one, so I was running around with 5 out of 6. And I'll show you how you're not supposed to actually torque it all the way down flush. It's gonna end up being more like around this or this depending on where you're actually torquing them down. All right, on these rails, when you get them put in, you got the square part that goes towards the front, and that's going to click in place on the forward part of the frame. And then on the rear, this is what it's going to look like facing the tailgate. 2 of these caps, they will orient themselves like this and lock into place with that little detent. And then this is, of course, where the slot goes in to actually bring the cover down and lock it in place. It also comes with these spacers. Those are going to sandwich in between as you clamp down so that it gives it an extra clamping force right there so it doesn't distort this as you're clamping. And those pop in place. They're pretty easy. I think I have a video on that. I'll pop up there too, a little close up. So these spacers, right, they have the hook right there on the inside, and they're gonna go, I have to kind of push them in there, but they're gonna end up locking in place here. Okay, I'm not pushing all the way in yet because we really need to lay it out first, and this is what the clasps are gonna grab onto. The seal's pretty straightforward. It just kind of squeezes in here all the way to the end, and it will stay in place pretty well. Don't pull the adhesive backing yet. And then you're going to want to trim the excess so that it's nice and flush. I've run some adhesion promoter on this back part of the cab to make sure that we get a good, nice bond here. Now you can use any adhesion promoter that's designed for this sort of thing. I use the 3M Type 94. It actually works really well. It sticks like glue. So let's get on to putting this back on, and then we can pull this strip once we've got it situated, and that'll lock it down on the front and allow us to go ahead and lock down the rest of the clamps. It's actually quite rigid. Okay, see if that's what I like. Needs to be as far forward as possible. So once you have the end caps on, you have it lined in towards the front and everything, you can set it in the bed and you can figure out equidistant where you're gonna wanna put your 3 mounts. Now in our case, of course, I'm doing 4. And then you can put your spacers in here to kind of mark that area. Now, if you have a sports bar, you're gonna have to do an extra step, and that is you're going to set it in place and figure out exactly where it's gonna be, and then you're going to wanna take and mark the area where these brackets are for the rear and the front of the sports bar. Then you're going to want to, with a razor blade, cut it pretty much flush in order to give extra room for it to clamp down and not bow that seal, or else you'll have water coming in through there and it won't seal. Now, I unfortunately did not get the rubber seal kit that they offer. Didn't have time to order it, so no big deal. I'm just going to use black silicone on it because there's also some corner areas where I could still see daylight previously when I put the cover on, and I'm just gonna add a little bit of black silicone in there so that we can get as weather tight as we can now. So now that that's done, you can go ahead and bring this back down, and this is when you're going to lock it in place and do your final correction on exactly where you want it, right? And then we're gonna install the 2 rear clasps. So I'll show you a close up on that. All right, that should be good. Once you've got it situated and you're all the way forward here, then you're ready to go ahead and pull this vinyl piece out. Stick her back in here, bring it down. All right. So now that it's stuck towards the front, it won't pull on you. It's got a nice anchor point there. And that way we can pull this up and then we can torque the brackets. Okay, so I had a little bit of trouble getting them installed upside down, you know, with the bolt going through like they said the instructions. So I went ahead and installed them like I do the other ones and just made sure that my rails were even, because I noticed exactly where my rails were when the bed cover was in the perfect spot. So I went ahead and just did them the way the other ones do. It's probably because of this, it just adds so much more pressure. It was really hard for me to get that clasp to lock in on this side. So anyway, after you've got these back 2 done, and now we can go ahead and kind of roll the cover up here. It's a little tricky with the sports bar. Not quite as easy to do one-handed as it used to be without it, but it still works just fine. So since I have silicone back here, I'm gonna go ahead and at least get those rolling before the silicone tries to harden up on me, even though that takes quite a while. And then we'll work our way through and then finish tightening them probably in this sequence to make sure that it's a nice even pressure when it tightens up. All right, so on these clasps, you got the bolt going in through the top, nut on the bottom, bring it up through here where your spacer is, and you can push pressure down and get them locked in there. There we go, you'll hear them click, and then you can go ahead and start tightening them up. I'm not gonna tighten them all the way, just bring them down a little bit, work my way to the other ones, and then we'll do a final tightening. All right, so once you've got them all in and torqued up, you'll notice what I was talking about, the gap. They're not going to be flush. And you'll notice if you try to get them further than about that, this part right here will start to bend kind of outward, and you've gone too far. So it's a little more challenging to push these kind of Ziploc type clips in with the sports bar the way, but it's not a big deal. I'm just gonna do that all the way down. And lock it in place really, really well. A whole lot better than the old Velcro styles that we used to use. Of course, we'll repeat that on the other side and you're done.